today me and Daniel is not going to make you become a tax expert, but really would like to give you some tax tips to you as a entrepreneurial or a person who are about to or thinking to have your small business started. And we're not going to turn you to an expert, but next time when you have facing any difficulties or questions about tax, you will remember, oh, we talked about that last time at the Alignable webinar, and that's what I could do, where I could look for more resources to help me with my answers. So today, Daniel and I will go over basically 3 topics. Daniel will go over the tax information for business, where you could look for basic resources on the IRS.gov website. And I will give you some updates because right now it is the filing 2023 season. And Daniel will then also share with you some important small business resources where you could always look for on IRS.gov's website. Without further ado, Daniel, please take away.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Randy, and the Alignable community for having us. We do appreciate the hospitality. My goal is to share some of these small business resources and tips, and also to do it while not putting you to sleep. So please bear with me, and hopefully I don't put you to sleep in the process. So the first thing that I like to draw your attention to is the tax information for businesses page. Now, the IRS.gov has a dedicated place for everything that you need to know, whether it's tax information, tools, resources, you name it. Here you'll find everything business and self-employed related. Now, one of the neat things about this tax information for business page is that it is multilingual. If you'll see in the top portion of this page, you'll see that there are 7 additional languages outside of English. You do have Chinese, you do have Spanish, and you do have Russia as well. So this is helpful for a broad range of diverse communities and helping them to fulfill those small business resources. Now, also on this page, you'll be able to see that there are 4 tabs of some of the more prominent topics when discussing taxes for businesses. You'll be able to see that there's the employee ID number, the employment tax, estimated tax, and also what we like to call FACTA, Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. Now, in addition to those tabs, the tax information for business page provides a general section, an overview of topics that you need if you are preparing your taxes, filing, or paying your taxes, and tips and resources on how to actually run a business. So speaking of running your business, we're going to take a look at that section. Carol, if you would, go ahead and advance that slide so we can look at that. Okay. So the Starting a Business webpage has links to basic federal tax information for people who are starting a business, as well as people who need assistance in making basic business decisions. Now, the list should not be all inclusive. Other steps may be needed for your specific type of business. So we strongly advise that individuals and entities looking to start businesses to do your due diligence in researching or hiring a tax professional to determine your business structure. So also on this page, what will be a valuable resource to you looking to start a business is the Industries and Professions webpage. You'll be able to find out common practices and maybe find out some resources that are available related to the industry or the profession that you are looking to start a business in. Also, you'll be able to note that there is information regarding state level requirements, as well as how to start and operate a business within your state website. So you'll see that link there as well. Now, the Starting a Business webpage also helps new business candidates determine everything that they need to know about federal taxes, including, hey, is this a business or a hobby? Which business structure should I select? What type of business taxes I may encounter, record keeping, um, publications, just a plethora of hot topics and links that'll help you be on your way when you're looking to start a business. Next slide, please, Carol. Now, located within that starting a business webpage, you do have business structures, as I just talked about. When beginning a business, it's important that you decide what form of business entity that you want to establish. Your form of business oftentimes can determine which income tax return form you have to file. The most common forms of businesses are sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, and S corporations or limited liability companies. We can't tell you how many times we have um, asked small business owners, okay, well, what type of business structure do you have? And they weren't able to answer that question, which is not something to be embarrassed about. It's just something that they didn't know. So um, I'll give you a brief description of the small business structures and give you a little detail of those. So, first, you have the sole proprietorship, and that is usually someone who owns an unincorporated business by themselves. You'll have a partnership, and that is generally when you have a business, a small business, where the relationships is existing between two or more persons who join to carry on the trade or business. Um, you also see that there's a corporation. This is where a legal entity that is separate and distinct from its owners has that business. You have S corporations. S corporations is where the corporations elect to pass on the corporate income, losses, deductions, and credits through to their shareholders for federal tax purposes. And last but not least, you do have the limited liability company or the LLC. This is one of the more common out of the business structures. The LLC is a business structure allowed by state statute. Each state may use a different regulations, but you should check with your state um, to see if you are interested in forming this structure. Now, keep in mind with these business structures, there are legal and tax considerations. So, again, do your due diligence research or hire a tax professional when looking to start a business if you're not familiar with those. And as you can see on this page, each link has more detail on each of those business structures, so you'll get a pretty good idea of what each one entails. Next slide, please, Carol. Now let's talk for a moment about one of the most important steps in starting a business or having a business per se, and that is the employer identification number. Now, as you all may know, the employer identification number, also known as the federal tax identification number, it's used to identify the business entity. Now, generally, businesses need an EIN. You can apply for an EIN in various ways, including now the online option, which we do offer at the IRS. So if you do use our option, then you'll be able to get your EIN immediately. Now, keep in mind, you probably need to also check with your state to make sure that you don't need a state number or a charter for that as well. And as you can see within the EIN homepage, there's little hyperlinks that can help you answer questions on if you're not sure if you actually need an EIN, or if you already have a pre-existing EIN and you're wanting to maybe start another industry. Do you need a new EIN? How long will it take if you've lost your EIN? What to do after you're simply assigned your EIN. Those are all helpful subtopics that you could click on and get valuable information on. Next slide, please, Carol. Now, on your screen, you'll see the home page for how to apply for an EIN online. Included in that homepage, you'll see the hours of operation, which are Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you'll also see the steps within the application process. The first step will be to determine your eligibility. The second step will be to understand the online application. And the third step will be to simply submit the application. Now, when you determine your eligibility, you can apply for an EIN online if your principal business is located in the United States or US territories. So the person that is applying online, they must have a valid taxpayer identification number, and that's including a social security number, an I-10, or an EIN. And you are limited to one EIN per responsible party per day. So the responsible party is the person who ultimately owns or controls the entity or who exercises ultimate effective control over the entity. Now, unless the applicant is a government entity, the responsible party must be an individual, not an entity. In the second step, which is understanding the online application, I want to make a note that it's probably advised to when you're starting the online application process to set aside at least 1 to 2 hours because you have to complete the application process within one session. There is no save and return at a later time to complete this process. So we do advise you to set aside 1 or 2 hours to complete this process because if you start it and you don't finish it, you can't come back. You'll have to start back over and do it again. Also note that within the online application process that your session will expire after 15 minutes of inactivity. So you will have to start, again, you'll have to start over if you leave the application process unattended after 15 minutes. Now, submitting your application, that submitting your application process is simply after all of the validations are done, you will get your EIN almost immediately upon completion. I strongly advise for you to download it, to save it, to print it, so that you can have it for setting up any bank account information or any other record keeping that you may need for your small business. Next slide, please, Carol. Now, the form of business that you operate determines what type of taxes that you'll have to pay. I know this may be a sore subject of hey, we're getting money coming in, but now we have to pay the taxes out. But yes, that is a part of small businesses. So there are 5 general types of business taxes. You do have the income tax, you do have estimated taxes, you do have self-employment tax, you have employment taxes, and you have excess tax as well. Now let's talk a little bit about income tax. So all businesses except partnerships must file an annual income tax return. Partnerships file an information return. The form you use depends on how your business is organized, and you can refer to structures to find out which returns that you must file based on the business entity established. The federal income tax is a pay as you go tax, so you must pay the tax as you earn or receive income during the year. An employee that usually has income tax withheld from his or her pay, if you do not pay your tax through withholding or do not pay enough tax that way, you might have to pay an estimated tax. So if you're not required to make estimated tax payments, you may want to pay any tax due when you file your return. We do have additional information on that in publication 583, and we'll provide that resource for you as well. Now let's talk a little bit about estimated tax. Now, generally, you must pay taxes on income, including self-employment tax, which we'll talk about next, by making regular payments for estimated tax during the year. So for additional information, you can click on that link, estimated taxes, on the understanding your business's taxes, business taxes pages. Now let's talk a little bit about the self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is a Social Security and Medicare tax that is primarily for individuals who work for themselves. So your payments of self-employment tax contribute to your coverage under the Social Security system. Social Security coverage provides you with retirement benefits, disability benefits, survivor benefits, and hospital insurance, Medicare benefits. Now, generally, you must pay self-employment tax and file Schedule SE, which is Form 1040 or 1040 SR, if either of the following applies to you. If your net earnings from self-employment were $400 or more, if you work for a church or a qualified church control organization other than as a minister or member of a religious order, that elected an exemption from Social Security and Medicare taxes, you are subject to the self-employment tax if you do receive $108 or more in wages from the church or the organization. So it is good to make sure that you are eligible and you meet those guidelines within self-employment. Now, note there are special rules and exceptions for aliens, fishing crew members, notary public, state or local government employees, foreign government or international organization employees. And again, you can find more details on that from following the link on the self-employment tax page. Next slide, please, Carol. Now let's take a quick look at the employment taxes page. Let's go a little bit more into depth. And now, all of the deposits made for employment taxes must be made on a timely basis. When you do have employees, you have an employer, you as the employer have certain employment taxes that you have to pay and forms that you have to file. So employment taxes, they include Social Security and Medicare taxes. They include federal income tax withholding. They also include federal unemployment tax as well. So keep that in mind when you do have employment taxes for your employees. Now, if you're self-employed, it's important that you take a look at the Self-Employed Individuals Tax Center for information on your tax, for more information on your tax obligations. Now, let's take a quick look at this page. As we can see, you do have the link for understanding employment taxes. You do have depositing and reporting employment taxes. You do have the due dates for employment taxes and how to correct any employment taxes. All of these are great resources to understanding employment taxes and knowing what to do. For instance, if you made a mistake on your employment taxes, the corrected employment taxes pages will let you know that there are X forms that are used to report those adjustments to employment taxes and to claim the refunds of overpaid employment taxes as well. So that, in addition to some other links regarding employment taxes, would be valuable for you to take a look at. Next slide, please, Carol. Another great resource for small business owners and self employed individuals is the Operating a Business page. As you can see, the sublinks include everything, every hot topic for businesses and self employed individuals. You'll find record keeping, you'll find how to change your business name, you'll find what's taxable and not taxable income. You'll also find how to file and pay your taxes. So, this is another good resource that will take you to those individual sections, including what I previously mentioned on the X forms if you do make a mistake in employment taxes. Next slide, please, Carol. So, what is considered taxable income? Let's talk about that for a moment. Um, Most income is taxable unless it is exempted by law. And as you can see on your screen, you can receive income in the form of cash, you can receive income in the form of checks, credit cards, assignment of income, virtual currencies, non-cash exchanges such as bartering. There are a variety of ways that you can receive income. So um, within the reportable tax income section, you'll see that for cash, it includes discussions on employee wages and fringe benefits, income from bartering, partnerships, S corporations, and royalties, um, just all different types of income from cash. So it's good to do your due diligence and research on these forms of cash that you may receive because there may be other steps that you need to take when filing your tax return. Um, Generally, um, this list is available in publication 525, which is taxable and non-taxable income. So again, I would say do your due diligence and research and determining all of those currencies to see if they fall under the taxable income um, section. Next slide, please, Carol. Now let's talk a little bit about record keeping. Now, everyone in business should keep good records. Keeping good records is not only a good practice, but it's also important to having a successful business. Um, Having good records will help you in several different ways. It helps you to monitor the progress of your business. Um, Within that, you'll show whether your business is improving. You'll have the opportunity to tell which items are selling. You'll be able to identify which changes you need to make. But most importantly, you will be able to file and pay your taxes successfully. So, the whole idea of record keeping is to make sure that you are confident when you're filing your taxes, or you're confident when you are giving that information to your tax advisor so that they can file your taxes. Um, Another good thing is to prepare financial statements, um, identify the source of your receipts, track deductible expenses, prepare tax returns, um, any type of information that will help support your tax return. That will be under the category of record keeping. And you can get additional information on best practices for record keeping from irs.gov/record keeping. Next slide, please. So, as I stated earlier, if you're not as confident in filing your own taxes as a small business or self-employed individual, it's imperative that you find a good tax preparer. So, some good practices include checking the tax preparer's qualifications, checking the preparer's history, asking about any service fees, asking to file electronically. Make sure that the preparer is available year round because we may need to inquire about something regarding your account for that year. And if your tax preparer is only set up during the filing season, then that wouldn't be helpful to you because you wouldn't be able to get in contact with them. So make sure that you have someone that you can contact year round. You want to make sure that your preparer will keep your records and receipts housed well. Also, you don't want to sign a blank return. That is highly recommended advice to make sure that you not only don't sign a blank return, but also review your return before before your preparer files it. Those are two important steps that you need to take when you are working with a tax preparer. And also, last but not least, we want to recommend that you report any abusive taxpayers to the IRS. We like to make sure that we pass that information along so that they aren't taking advantage of taxpayers um, who may not be as aware of the tax law. We do have resources available to individuals who need help with identifying a tax preparer, and we'll share those with you as well. With you and Randy as well. Next slide, please. Now, on your screen, you'll see what I like to call the hub for small business self-employed, and it's the Small Business and Self-Employed Tax Center. As you can see, there is a ton of information here. So you don't have to be a tax expert when you're running your business, but you do need to know the basics, and this hub, which is on your screen, will be helpful in accomplishing that. So it's helpful for you whether you're starting a business, whether you're operating business, or whether you're trying to close out a business. This hub is helpful for you in that regards. So without any further delay, I will hand it over to Carol, who will tell you about some things to look for the current filing season. Thank you, Carol.
Great, thank you, Daniel. I hope Daniel is not making you falling asleep yet, because I am about to share with you some great news, important tax credit that may actually work to through 2032. That's the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the first one I'm going to talk about. The IRS is working on implementing the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This major legislation will affect individuals, business, tax exempt, as well as government entities. Search clean vehicle tax credit on the IRS.gov's website. It will help you determine whether your purchase of a EV or FCV will qualify you for this tax credit. Again, these credits are available for both individual and business for the purchase of a new or used electric vehicle. And the credits are in place for purchase for clean vehicles through 2032. And if you happen to be a broker, a vehicle broker, today we actually released a text tips to remind auto dealer must register with the IRS to receive advance payment for the clean vehicle tax credit. So please do keep that in mind. So the first link showing will provide a wealth of information on the 2022 law regarding the 30D credit for a electric vehicle. And the second link, which will actually provide you the Department of Energy link, where you could find whether the vehicle that you purchased or about to purchase is qualify you for this tax credit. And we would definitely share this link with you later on. Another news, beginning of January 1st, 2023, the standard mileage rate for the use of a car would be 65.5 cents per mile driving for business use, up 3 cents from the mid-year of 2022. And then same rates for as 2022 for the medical or moving purpose, and then 14 cents per mile driven for service of charitable organizations. Please do keep in mind that for 2023, business will need to remember the maximum allowable amount for meals expense will be limited to 50% of the total spend, regardless of the source of the meal. Digital access. Brokers are not required to report additional information with respect to the position of digital access until final regulations are issued under sections 6045 and 6045A. Brokers are still required to comply with existing laws and regulations for 2022. For residential energy credit, again, this is under the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, amended the credits for energy efficient home improvement and residential energy property. If you can claim either these two credits, the energy efficient home improvement or residential energy property, for the year when you're making the qualifying improvements. Homeowners who improve their primary residency will find the most opportunity to claim this credit for qualifying expense. But renter may be also able to claim this credit, as well as owners of second home used for residency. So I would strongly suggest you, if you are considering making any home improvements, go to irs.gov and search home energy tax credit, where you could find the most updated information for this residential energy credit. And now let's talk about what are the other tools that's available on irs.gov's website that will help everything easier, including this individual tax account. So keep that in mind. This is for individual use. Right now, if you want to create an online account with the irs.gov for your individual tax account, you could do so by going to irs.gov/account. That will help you give you more information and guidance to create your individual account with the IRS. Once you create the account, you will be able to see your account balance. You could make payments for your individual tax return. You could get tax transcripts, or you could also receive account notification. You could assign your tax professionals and manage paperless or email notification preference. But again, this is for your individual online account. If you file an EIN as a solo proprietor, as a small business owner, you may need to go to look for information on the business online account, which is right here. So individual partners and individual shareholders will be able to access business tax account information once they have filed a business return with the Schedule K-1 and it is processed by the IRS. Solo proprietor who have already set up an individual account under their SSN or ITIN, and have an EIN link to your SSN or ITIN, can use your existing login to access your business online account. At this time, solo proprietor who do not have an EIN are not eligible to set up a business tax account. So again, you have your individual tax account to view your individual tax information. But if you also have an EIN, which also link to your SSN, then you will be able to create your business online account where you could also access partial of your business filing information. If you want to know more information, like what this business online account will allow you to do, please remember this publication, 5904 publication we use to every big campaign or important information. We'll try to create a publication associated with the content. So it's easier for individuals, taxpayers to look for detailed information, or sometimes we will include a QR code on the publication where it's easier for you to use your phone to scan and to lead you to the IRS.gov website and give you more information. For this one, if you remember publication 5904, it will be easier to help you go to the IRS.gov's website and to receive more information about the business online account. And it tells you on this business online account, it will allows you to view your business balance due. It will give you some business tax records. If you are making money selling things or providing a service, don't be surprised if you received a 1099-K issued for those electronic payments. The Form 1099-K has the gross or total amount of payment you got. You can use it and other records to figure out the actual taxes you owed or any profits. Be sure to keep good records because it helps you when it's time to file your tax return. Don't forget to keep track of expenses, what you have sold, and what you have been paid for service throughout the year. And it's a good idea to keep business and personal transaction separate to make it easier to figure out what you may owe. Understanding your 1099-K. So there are some delays for the tax year of 2023. For 2023, popular payment apps and online marketplace are only required to send out Form 1099-K for taxpayer who received over 20,000 and have over 200 transactions instead of payment over 600. So later 2023, we have been trying to tell people, as long as you're making a transaction over $600, you will be expecting to receive a 1099-K. But the regulation actually has been updated for 2023. You are only required to send out Form 1099-Ks to taxpayer who received over 20,000 and have over 200 transactions. However, taxpayer may still receive this 1099-K, even though there is a delay. Taxpayer must continue to report all income unless excluded by law. And IRS is planning for a 5,000 threshold for 2024. Starting tax year 2023, if you have 10 or more information returns, you must file them electronically. And that's why we are sharing with you this new tool, Information Returns Intake System. We call it IRIS. It's easier for you to file because it could e-file up to 1,000 returns at a time, and you could enter it manually or upload if you have a CSV file ready. And again, if you would like to know more about this IRIS publication, 5731, it has the QR code. It will link you back to the IRS.gov's website. And it will tell you more how you could apply your account on the IRIS and start e-filing your forms. this electronic payment option, we call it EFTPS. This one stands for, it's a free system offered by the U.S. Department of Treasury to pay your federal tax. It will help you to schedule payments up to 365 days in advance. It will help you make tax payments from your home office everywhere 24/7. It helps you pay your income, employment, estimated, and exercise federal tax payment. Employee retention credit. It's a refundable tax credit for certain eligible business and tax-exempt organizations that had employees and were affected during the COVID-19 pandemic. The requirements are different depending on the time period for which you claim the credit. The ERC is not available for individuals. For more updates on the ERC, we suggest you go to irs.gov/ERC. It will link you to the current page that you are looking at. And there are several options available for you, including checking if you are eligible for the credit, withdraw a ERC claim if your EIC hasn't been paid, but you want to withdraw your claim, or apply the ERC voluntary disclosure program if you received an incorrect ERC and you want to pay it back. And you will also find answers to frequently asked ERC questions. So if you want to know more about the ERC updates, definitely go to irs.gov/ERC. Again, we'll have the publication 5792 associated with this ERC credit because we know that there are some tax scams that's related to this ERC. Some honest business were misled into filing claims for the ERC by promoters who often misrepresented or oversimplified the eligibility. Business, if you receive the credit but don't meet the ERC rule, should consider applying for the ERC voluntary disclosure program before March 22 deadline. The IRS offers a withdrawal program for those who claim that haven't been paid. And this special program runs through, again, March 22. It will let taxpayer repay just 80% of the claim they received. If you want to know more about all these updates about ERC, please definitely check out irs.gov/ERC or remember this publication 5792. And now I'm going to turn it over back to Daniel to share a bit more about what other resources on the irs.gov to help you further educate yourself.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much. So you may be thinking, hey, that was a lot of information that they just dished out to me. How can I stay up to date on any new information that's coming out? Or I'm already aware of all of that information. So how can I find out about even more? One of the things that you can do is you can subscribe to e-news for small businesses. This will help you keep in the know and stay in the loop with all of the updates, small business, self-employed individuals related. You'll find out information about upcoming tax dates, of course, like I stated, what's new for small businesses on the IRS website, and it'll give you reminders and tips to assist with everything that you need to know to stay tax compliant with your small business. Included within these subscriptions for e-news, you'll find IRS news releases and special IRS announcements that pertain to small business and self-employed individuals. Now, when you do subscribe, keep in mind that you will receive a confirmation message by email. So you'll need to respond to this email to verify your subscription. Now let's take a look at one of my favorite things that we do offer. We have arrived in the 21st century. We do offer an IRS video portal. For me, I am a what I like to call a YouTube junkie. I like to learn by watching videos. So this is a good tool and resource to use for anything small business, self-employed, individual related. And if you're ever tired or you're waiting on your next season of binge watching from Suits on Netflix, you can always come and learn a little bit about small businesses from the IRS video portal. Next slide, please, Carol. Within the video portal, you'll see that we do have the small business tax workshop. And as you can see indicated on your screen, it does come in several different languages. So we do cater to a diverse community within the IRS video portal and the small business virtual tax workshop.